Alright folks, we'll pick up with example 5 that we ended last class with, and I'll just restate the question. You're standing below a cliff and toss a softball up to your friend who's standing on the edge of the cliff 8 meters above you. So that's shown here in the diagram. So you're tossing the ball up, and as we said last class, any type of motion like this is parabolic motion. When you throw an object, it will go up and come back down, and always make this parabola or curve shape. And again, that's covered in math 2200 or 2201. The ball goes up past your friend, who then catches it on the way down, and that's an important piece of information to remember there. That's going to come up soon. So it's important for you to remember, and see if I can just pick a color here, that your friend's going to catch it on the way down. Oh, let's change that to a better color. There. Alright. The initial speed of the ball is 30 meters per second. At what time will your friend catch the ball on the way down? So the first thing I want you folks to do is write the given information. So you should have paper there in front of you, and I want you to work through this as I'm doing it. So substitute can feel free to pause the video. Alright, let's say you've got the given information written down. So your velocity is 30 meters per second up, and remember to state the direction. The acceleration, we say acceleration due to gravity, is 9.8 meters per second squared. And if you're going down, you leave it as a positive 9.8, but in the up direction, because we need all of our velocities in the same direction, or all of our vectors in the same direction, we have to say change everything over to up. So that becomes a negative 9.8. And the distance the ball travels is 8 meters, and cliff is 8 meters above you. Now, so you have velocity, acceleration, and distance. And we need to find time. So if I just look here now at the kinematics formulas. So you have velocity, acceleration, distance, and you need to find time. So you have distance, you have acceleration, you have time, and you know the velocity. So you can pick out your kinematic formula here, right there, the middle one. So if you copy down that formula and write in the information that you have, so you come back to here, you have displacement, your initial velocity, you need to find time. So if you take a moment now and just fill in what you know, you end up with this situation. Your distance is 8, your velocity is 30, you don't know time, a half, negative 9.8 t squared. A half times negative 9.8 is 4.9, that's 30t, and we really can't take it much further than that. So you're sort of stuck there. You might be saying, now Mr. Snook, we can't solve this because we can't solve for time. There's 2 t's there. If you try it, give it a go, and unless you've covered this topic in math, you're pretty well stuck. So what we need to go through now is what the quadratic formula is. And in math, the quadratic formula, one second. Alright, sorry about that guys, just need to fix something here. So in math, there's a formula called the quadratic formula. And Miss Slaney will cover this with you, so I won't go into too much detail with it, I'll just get into how you use it. And what the quadratic formula states, it says this a squared. Oh, if I'm going to show it to you guys, I'll show it to you right. That when you have a quadratic written this way, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now, all that you need to know right now is that a stands for whatever number is in front of the squared term. Now, we don't have x, but we have t. So it means the same thing. A is just a number in front of whatever term is squared. B is always the term in front of just a variable with the exponent 1. And C is just a plain number. Alright guys, so if you notice here, everything is all on one side of the equal sign, and there's nothing left on the other side other than 0. So when we come back to the equation that we have to take everything we have and move it over to one side. So you can either move the 4.9 and the 30t over to the left side or bring the 8 over. Well, I'm just going to bring the 8 over because that involves just moving one number, and I'm a little bit lazy right now. So if we leave everything here, we have 30t negative 4.9 t squared, and if we bring positive 8 across the equal sign, you guessed it, becomes negative 8. Now we sort of like to have this in the order it was given to us up here for the formula, where the squared term is always first. So we take the negative 4.9, and we're just rearranging, we're not changing the values on any numbers. T squared. This is a positive 30t, so keep it positive. And negative 8. Now here's where the quadratic formula comes in. It will find the value of the variable for you. And the quadratic formula is stated. And since we're using t, I'll say t equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared subtract 4ac all over 2a. Now that might seem like a lot, but really you're just substituting numbers in here. If we look back to the formula that we have here, and let me use a little highlighter here. There we are. Well, we have our a, b, and c numbers, so we're just going to fill numbers in. So your a term is always the one we said in front of the squared exponent, or the squared term. And that's negative 4.9. B is a number from just the variable, which is 30 here. And C is just a plain number, which is negative 8. So fill in your B, A's, and C's. So B says negative, so leave that negative there, and put in your B value, which is 30, plus or minus, and square root 30 squared, 4 times A, which is negative 4.9, times C, which is negative 8. And 2 times A, which is negative 4.9. Now simplify, so you can't do anything with negative 30. Plus or minus, I'll explain what this does in a second. 30 squared. Now, actually, probably be a good idea if, to pause the video there and see if you guys can work out underneath the radical sign here, the same as what I'm going to get. Alright, let's see now if you've carried your calculations out right. So negative 4 times negative 4.9 times negative 8 You're multiplying three negatives, so you should get a negative back. And you should have 156.8. 2 times negative 4.9 is negative 9.8, which I left out. Okay, now 900 subtract 156.8 is 743.2. If the number underneath here ever works out to a negative, you've done something wrong. There is a way to deal with it in math, but I'm not getting into that because it has nothing to do with what I'm teaching here. So if you ever get this to work out to be a negative, you screwed up somewhere, guys. Go back and check your calculations. Most often the mistake would have been made if you didn't multiply in all of your negatives, or if you left a negative out. Now then you do the square root of this number and you get 27.3. Okay. Now, probably the next question you guys might have is where do you go next and what do you do with this stuff here? This plus or minus, what does that mean? Well, that's a little shortcut of saying there's going to be two answers. First answer is going to involve negative 30 plus 27.3 divided by negative 9.8, and we're going to work that out in a second. Your second answer is going to involve the negative, so you read it this way: negative 30 plus 27.3, negative 30 subtract 27.3. Now if we work both of those out, so negative 30 plus 27.3 will give us a negative number, and it should be 2.7. Divided by negative 9.8. Give me a second, guys, on my calculator. And Katie's probably already got it worked out. And you have negative 0.27. If we work out the next one, make sure that stays as a 7 there, guys. So negative 30 subtract 27, it's going to be negative 57.3 divided by negative 9.8, and I think I'm going to run out of space. Alright, it's negative, the 9.8 just disappeared. Okay, so two negatives divide by a positive, and perhaps you guys already got it worked out. So 57.3 divided by 9.8 is going to give me 5.8. And that's in seconds, and remember up here 2.7 was in seconds. So which answer do you keep? Because you were solving for time and we worked down to two answers. Now both can't be right. So negative 2.7 seconds or 5.8 seconds. Well guys, at last we checked time could not be negative, so you're going to reject and should state that. Now you have to state that you're rejecting an answer, and the reason we're rejecting this answer is that we're solving for time and time can't be negative. So our answer is 5.8 seconds. So the ball comes up and it's caught back down in 5.8 seconds. Okay, in the next video I'll show you a way to solve this type of question without using quadratic formula.